Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is, and if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. Naruto, a boy, no older than 8 years old, kept his eyes down, trying to ignore the Sandaime Hokage's eyes. He'd seen them like this before, solemn and old, tired and fading. Naruto hated the Hokage for getting old, or at least, getting older still. The old man had always been ancient, but with each loss and death he seemed to slouch lower, groan louder. The child had no idea how much more the old man could handle. I feel fine, Ji-chan. Braving a smile, he managed to look at his grandfather in all but blood. You don't have to worry about me. Fighting his quivering lips, Naruto turned away, looking down at his book, trying to ignore his tear-stained vision. I understand, he whispered, not everyone comes home. Tora was a proud member of the ANBU. He was one of the elites, the very best of Konoha, and he had done his duty to the last. Naruto felt the old man sit down next to him, his joints cracking as he did. If not for him, the rest of his team would have died alongside him. As captain, he sacrificed himself to save his subordinates, his comrades. He is a hero. Naruto tensed and whispered, but nobody knows. Naruto. Look outside, Ji-chan. Everything is normal. Nobody knows about Tora ni. Such is the life of a shinobi, of an ANBU member. Shinobi are people who endure. Sometimes our sacrifices don't come with accolades or even recognition, but those are not the reasons we fight. We take on the brunt of this world and fend against it so we can protect the people we love. Your Tora ni and every Konoha shinobi who died before him gave their lives for the safety of our people, of our village. Just like my parents, the boy managed, tears running down his face. And Shisui ni, Mari ne, Sora ni, Lila ne. There are a lot of names we owe our lives to, Naruto. The Hokage gently placed a hand on Naruto's head. This is a lesson that you've learned far too early, my boy. When I'm older, I'll do my part, too. Wiping his tears away, Naruto looked at the Hokage. I'll become strong and protect everyone. His voice grew soft as he looked away again. I don't want to feel like this again. I'll become so strong that I won't feel like this again. We should all strive to become strong to protect, but you are too young to bear such a responsibility. Try not to grow up too quickly, Naruto. One of the greatest boons of peacetime is children being able to be children. Don't spend so much time in the barracks. You're old enough now to go outside by yourself. Meet some of the other children your age and make some friends who aren't ANBU. Naruto gave a soft smile, his tears drying. I'll try, Ji-chan. The old man nodded, eyes still furrowed. That's all I ask. I'll leave you alone with your book. Naruto nodded back, biting his lip. Thank you, Ji-chan. I'm proud of you, Naruto. Never forget that. The chibi of ANBU. The baby boy of Konoha. Our little fish cake. Uzumaki Naruto had many names and even more older siblings. Being the only child to have been raised entirely in the ANBU barracks, he was everyone's little brother. His first word was kaka and his second word was ni. ANBU Commander Ryu helped him take his first steps and also demanded to give him his first haircut. His nursery, a small room in the middle of the ANBU living quarters, became one of the busiest spots in the entire barracks. For one reason or another, nearly every ANBU member found their way to visit the boy, either to listen to him giggle while giving him a bubble bath or to change his diaper as punishment. The boy was an orphan, but he had the biggest family in Konoha. He was happy as can be, joyously jumping into the arms of returning siblings, not a care for their muddy or sometime bloody armor. Laughing uproariously as he was tossed from one brother to another sister like a hyperactive ball. He was so happy that Sarutobi Hiruzen rejoiced that he'd made the right decision. There were only two choices. Allow Naruto to fend for himself at the orphanage or have him grow up with the most elite trained assassins in the elemental nations. The Hokage took quite a long time to decide on the child's fate, but Danzo gave him little choice with his blunder. The rumor of the Yondaime Hokage sealing the Kyuubi into a baby started to circulate, and as much as Hiruzen loved his people, he had no faith in human decency or intelligence in the face of anger and vengeance. Naruto would be raised by the ANBU, hidden away from the village. The rumors would die down after a few years, and when the boy would grow up, he could seamlessly rejoin the village as the son of Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina. It was the right call. Sure, there may have been some bad birthday presents, leave it to the ANBU members to give a 5-year-old boy a real Tonto and explosive tags, but with the right supervision, Naruto grew to become a well-mannered, disciplined, and intelligent boy. Already fluent in ANBU code and hand signals, he was an honorary member. Just last year, ANBU Commander Ryu gave him a mini-sized ANBU uniform complete with a dog mask. Ever since Naruto was born, the ANBU barracks had been filled with squeals and laughter, genuine happiness not seen since the founding of the village. The only downside, Naruto had lost many of his siblings. He'll be okay, Hokage-sama. Hiruzen looked at Inu. Yes, he will be. He is his parents' child, but this is not healthy. You of all people should understand, Kakashi. I do, but there is no better alternative. Remember, not only does Naruto not have the mental fortitude of the likes of you, you are all his family. You lost a comrade in Tora, but he lost a big brother. Things will change soon. Kakashi looked down at his little brother who looked like a mini clone of his old sensei. You were right, Hokage-sama. The rumors of a Kyuubi Jinchuriki are all but gone and no one will spare a glance at him. Neko had brought him to the park to play many times now and nothing had happened. Just a few years more and he can officially become a genin and be given his father's name. That's good. The old man paused to ask, did he make any friends at the park? Kakashi chuckled. No, unfortunately, Naruto has never seen other children his age before, so he was a bit apprehensive. He just pushed himself on the swings for the most part. I had to stop Neko from going to push him herself. The Hokage smiled at the thought. But I'm sure sooner or later, he will manage to meet some friends. I hope so. Peering through his crystal ball, the Sandaime watched as Naruto read his newest book, his short legs swinging in his seat, clearly already regaining his usual energy. That book he is reading, mentioned the Hokage, have you seen it? No, Hokage-sama. The Fundamentals of Fuinjutsu, Volume 2. The old man smiled. He blasted through the first one in a week. I had Commander Ryu check if he actually understood any of it, and he was delighted to report that Naruto took to Fuinjutsu like a fish in water. He is as talented as his mother. Kakashi nodded. Did Jiraiya-sama send him those books? Yes, he did. He has a whole reading list planned out for the boy. Only on Fuinjutsu. For now, but be on guard for some of my students' more passionate works. Kakashi held in a chuckle. I'm sure Jiraiya-sama will wait until Naruto is a genin before showing him those books. The ANBU captain glanced at Naruto, but if he really is as talented as Kushina-sensei, would you have him focus on a career in the Sealing Corps? He's shown promise in ninjutsu as well. Basically everybody has been teaching him things under the table, so I'm sure he will do well in the regular forces as well. We'll give him the choice once the time comes, but as Minato has proven, he can be both a seal master and an elite jonin. Kakashi nodded. I very much look forward to it. As do I, my boy. At first, it was only once a week, but Naruto's visit to the park had become increasingly frequent. Much to the relief of his ever-worrisome family, the boy had finally grown accustomed to leaving the barracks. He'd still only explored a small part of Konoha, but his time in the sun had finally given him some color to his pale cheeks. His spiky blonde hair eerily resembled his father's, down to the twin bangs framing his face. Combined with his azure blue eyes, one would only need a shred of cognitive reasoning to see the connection between the boy and the Yondaime, but as usual, none were the smarter. Sure, some in the ANBU had made the connection, but none were lacking enough to voice their discovery. One glance at the closeness between the ever-cold and ruthless Kakashi and the perpetually giggling Naruto, their actual brotherly bond, was enough reason to stay silent. Sharingan no Kakashi was keen on keeping his late sensei's only son safe, and had in no small words claimed the boy as his own student when the time would come. Walking into the park, Kakashi held onto Naruto's hood. The boy had refused to hold hands with his siblings for a few months already, much to the heartbreak of some of his siblings, and he marveled at the similarity between the Naruto and his father. Perhaps they were being a bit too cavalier. Naruto even dressed like his father did as a child. Jiraiya had sent Naruto a white hoodie that looked identical to the one his father had worn on the daily. Naruto looked so much like his father, Kakashi could practically see Kushina pummeling Minato-sensei in heaven because his genes were being unfairly dominant. "Kaka ni," came the almost whiny voice of Naruto, "you don't need to babysit me anymore." The boy said with a small pout. "Yugao ne just leaves me at the park. You don't have to hover over me like this." Kakashi, for once not dressed in his ANBU garb, his face only half hidden with a cloth mask, smiled at his brother. "Fine, I'll leave you be, but remember to signal to me once you're done playing." Ruffling the boy's spiky hair, he chuckled, "Try to meet some friends today. There are some cute girls playing on the swings, go join them." "Just go, Kaka ni." Naruto shoved his brother's hand away, "I'm not a little kid." Chuckling again, Kakashi jumped away. "Sure, you're not, chibi." Spring had come again and children swarmed the parks in droves. It was a cloudless Saturday with a soft breeze through the trees. Not even the strictest of parents could deny their children such a beautiful day in the sun. Dozens of children packed into this one park and hundreds more filled the large field and green clearing that surrounded it. Looking around, Naruto saw many picnic blankets scattered along the grassy field, each one a family enjoying lunch. It was an unfamiliar feeling, the yearning for something lost, but had never had. The boy never met his father, but he often wondered what it would have been like to ride on his shoulders. He'd never met his mother, but he wondered what her food would taste like. It was a paralyzing train of thought, and Naruto had been down that particular path too many times to be trapped again. Shaking his head, he ran off. He figured it wasn't too far away from the hero's memorial. After all, he'd been there a few times already. But even at the tender age of 8, he knew better than to honor his heroes empty-handed. He kept running, away from the crowds and deeper into the trees. The canopies grew thick and blocked most of the noon sun, and the rowdy Saturday noise were silenced by the steady buzzing of cicadas. He ran faster, enjoying the warm wind against his skin as he sped through the forest, his strides becoming wider and his leaps farther, his eyes relaxing to let the world pass him by in a mirage of fleeting images. Finally, he felt better. The park was far too crowded for this liking. His home was never that busy nor as loud, and he didn't want another wayward mother asking him why he was alone and where were his parents. Closing his eyes, Naruto could feel all around him. It was an ability his Ji-chan once described as sensory, the ability to detect the presence of others by their chakra. Apparently his father had this ability as well, and while it was not the most unique of skills, Naruto was happy to share something with his father. It was useful. Focused, Naruto could see without seeing. He felt the flow of chakra in the trees around him, all connected by their roots, surging deep into the ground. From these mighty roots were born a system of life, from small blades of grass to stretching bushels. But he was looking for something more delicate. His blue eyes snapped open with a smile. He'd found some. "There we go," he whispered softly to himself as he jumped to a small clearing. Flowers. It was a field of flowers, a rainbow on land. "Wow, there are so many different kinds." He bit his lip and scratched the back of his head. How am I supposed to choose? Suddenly, he felt a presence in front of him. It was a small chakra signature, one smaller than his own and much smaller than his siblings. It was soft and delicate, not unlike the flowers around him, and it gave a purple hue. He looked on ahead at the direction he sensed, but could see nothing in a field of golden flowers, blowing in the wind. Except a small bunch of golden tresses that went against the wind, that stood up. It was a small girl, probably around his age. She had shoulder-length golden hair that matched the golden flowers around her, a shade much lighter than his own. It looked soft and silky, also much unlike his own spiky mess, held from her face with a small blue hairclip. She was also wearing a yellow sweater, almost camouflaging into the flowers, and looked as if she was floating in the wind. Naruto stared at her, until he noticed he was staring. Awkwardly waving his hand, he smiled. Hi, came the reply, her voice quiet in the wind. What are? A strong breeze blew through the clearing, covering her voice. It washed through them and the flowers and seemed to make her glow even brighter. Naruto was mesmerized. Hesitantly, he walked towards her, careful not to step on any flowers in the way. She was looking at him, and as he approached, he saw that she had blue eyes as well, but again a lighter shade than his own. She was holding her hair from her face, her hairclip not enough to fight the winds, and he finally saw her clearly. He'd heard many of his siblings describe him as such, but never before this moment did Naruto know that someone could look so cute. Sorry, he managed to whisper over the wind, I couldn't hear you before. What were you saying? The girl looked at him and tilted her head. I said, what are you doing here? Stammered Naruto, looking away from her soft gaze. I was looking for some flowers. She smiled widely and he felt his heart stricken. Well, you found the best place for that. This field and the next one over belongs to the Yamanaka clan. You may have heard of our flower shop in town. Here is where we grow all our flowers. Oh, he replied dumbly, managing to look back into her eyes. Sorry, I didn't mean to trespass. I was running through the woods and I must have missed a sign or something. She waved him off, still smiling like the sun. Don't worry about it. He lost his breath looking at her. He felt his fingers tingle and heart race, and the sun had never felt hotter on his face. He saw her lips move, but for the life of him, he couldn't comprehend anything. Sorry, can you say again? He asked with a nervous grin. She giggled, you're funny. He lost feeling in his legs. I asked what you are looking for. Is this for your mom or something? No, he managed. No, this is for my brother. Reality came rushing back to him. Torani, his goofy laugh and warm hugs came back to him. Suddenly the warm day felt a bit colder. Naruto calmed, looking at her with a smile. I'm looking for some lilies. Lilies. Her smile grew and immediately he felt warmer. We have some over here. She gestured to follow her and he watched as she skipped and hopped over the flower beds, and he swore it should be the new definition of cute. Careful with his steps, he followed her closely, and he realized that she was small, a few inches shorter than him at least. Maybe she was a bit younger than him, he couldn't tell, but she was the first person he'd ever talked to who was smaller than him. Lilies are an odd choice, though. They were nearing the tree line and the winds were softer there. Her voice sounded sharp and clear now. They can mean innocence or purity, or even rebirth. Is this for your big brother or little brother? Big brother. Really? She asked. What the occasion? They stopped at another flower bed and she looked back at him. As much as he tried, he could stop the sad smile. No occasion, but I read that it's the most common flower used for mourning. Her smile vanished and he felt worse. Oh, I'm sorry. He braved a smile, hoping to reignite hers. Don't be. You didn't know. She rewarded him with a small grin, her hands behind her back. But here we are. We have a few types, but this here is the Lilium auratum, the golden rayed lily. I think it's the most beautiful lily, and it's actually native here in Hai no Kuni. She gently plucked 3 stems from the plant and held them close. They were big flowers and beautiful to behold. Wide and long white petals dusted with flickers of gold. They smelled very sweet. I'm sure your brother will love them. She daintily offered them to him, and he shakily took them. Thank you, oh, she exclaimed, giggling, right, my name is Yamanaka Ino. Remembering to use the last name Ji-chan told him to use, he replied, my name is Uzumaki Naruto. It's nice to meet you, Ino-chan. Chan, she asked with a sly smile, and already calling me by my first name. Naruto blushed to his roots, sorry, Yamanaka-san, he managed to stammer as she giggled, I figured you're younger than me and though, well, I don't really, She laughed, her shoulders shaking, it's okay, you can call me Ino-chan. Everyone calls me Ino-chan. He relaxed, rubbing the back of his head with a shy grin. But I'm 8 years old. How old are you? Oh, I'm 8 years old, too. Really? She asked and he nodded, you're quite a bit taller than me. He was still rubbing the back of his head, I guess. She grinned, well, are you going to take those back now? Oh, right, he exclaimed loudly, making her giggle again. I will. Thank you, Ino-chan. I'll ask my sister to pay you back at your flower shop. Ino waved him off, no way, don't worry about it. No, I can't do that. It's fine. Honestly, I sometimes feed the animals with some of these flowers, so don't worry about it. Naruto reluctantly nodded. Okay, if you're sure. She nodded with a grin, I am. Thank you, Ino-chan. Cool, then let's go. She was looking at him expectantly, and he stared back, slowly blushing at her stare. Are you coming with me? He asked hesitantly. Yep, really. Why? I have nothing else to do today. My parents dropped me off at the park to play, but none of my friends were there. I came here to check on the flowers to pass the time, but following you seems more interesting. Ino stared up at him, non-blinking. But I don't have to come if you don't want me to. No, he yelled, I mean yes. She giggled and he wanted to punch himself. I mean no, I don't mind, and yes, I do want you to come. Great, then let's go. It had been a surreal day to say the least, and it was barely past lunchtime. Stepping out of the flower field, the 2 children make their way back to the beaten path, walking under the wide canopies back to the park. It certainly felt much farther on the way back for Naruto. For reasons he cannot fathom, his hands were shaking, his heart was beating against his chest, and his face felt hot even when walking in the shade. Glancing to his side, he saw Ino walking with a spring in her step, a soft hum on her lips, her eyes perpetually shining like pale diamonds. He realized he was staring again. What's the matter? She noticed it, too. Nothing. He managed a smile. It's a hot day, so I'm wondering if you're thirsty or something. She shrugged, a little bit, but water we use for the fields isn't for drinking and the water fountain at the park is totally gross. Oh, then here. Naruto pulled his sleeve up to reveal a small seal marked on his forearm. He could feel Ino staring at him and his face grew hotter, but he ignored it and sent a pulse of chakra into the seal. With a puff of smoke emerged 2 bottles of water. Glad he didn't mess up on his chakra control, he could have accidentally summoned the entire dozen he sealed into the mark. He happily handed one over to Ino. Here you go. Ino slowly reached for the bottle, but still stared at him, wide-eyed. How did you do that? She grabbed his arm, making him blush again, looking at his seal in bewilderment. I've never seen anything like that before. Did you use chakra? Can you already use chakra? I can barely make that stupid leaf float. That was a standard storage seal, just instead of using a scroll, I marked the seal on my arm using ink. Its capacity is much smaller than what you have fit into even a smaller scroll, but it's better than carrying around a backpack. She just stared at him, her eyes bright and shining so much that he had to look away. This one is for water. He pulled his sleeve back more to reveal another seal, mindful of the flowers in his hand. This one is for some ration bars in case of emergencies. He pulled back his other sleeve. I have my basic weapons pack sealed into this one. Just your standard issue shuriken and kunai. Pulling further up, he revealed another mark. This one I've never really used, but it's a first aid kit. My G-chan always says I should have it with me just in case. Wow. Who taught you this? No one, really. He smiled shyly. My godfather sent me a few books on fuinjutsu and I learned from there. It's pretty cool and useful. I used to hate carrying my backpack everywhere, especially when it's hot like today, but now I don't feel any heavier and can carry even more on me. That is super useful. Can you teach me how to do it? He grinned. Of course. I don't have my ink and brush with me today, but I'll bring them with me next time. Thank you, Naruto-kun. Naruto cursed the sun for his burning face. Why, you're welcome, Ino-chan. If it wasn't for the sudden loud noises, neither Naruto nor Ino would have noticed they've already made their way back to the park. For once, Naruto's sensory abilities failed him as most of his attention was focused on his new friend. Almost absent-mindedly, they made their way through the park, just a couple of kids in the hundreds and headed for the Heroes Memorial. How come I've never seen you at the academy before? Naruto tilted his head. I'm not enrolled at the academy. Huh, but you know how to use chakra. Don't you want to become a ninja? He smiled. I do, but I'm learning at home right now. My G-chan is teaching me the bookwork they teach at the academy and my other siblings are teaching me the rest. What about your parents? Naruto gave a sad smile again, and he saw Ino flinch. No, my parents died during the Kyuubi attack. I live with my siblings and G-chan. Ino had her head down. I'm sorry. I'll stop asking so many questions. No, don't be. He smiled at her, a genuine smile. Ask me whatever you want. This is the first time I'm even talking to someone my age. This is fun. Don't you have friends our age? Ino smacked herself on the forehead. Sorry, another stupid question. He chuckled. I come to the park sometimes, but I don't really know how to talk to people my age. You're talking just fine with me. Still smiling. I know. This is fun. Ino finally smiled again. Well, come find me whenever you're at the park. I'm usually here on weekends. Okay. The Heroes Memorial was within sight. It was a huge dugout of an area, at least the size of your standard ANBU training arena, and it was sunken into the ground. Statues and monuments were built along the edges of the ceremonial ground, each depicting the epic feats of the fallen heroes of Konoha. There was an urban legend Naruto had heard from his siblings, that this dugout area was the result one of the Shodai Hokage's punches. Legend went that the Shodai had lost someone precious to him in war, and in anger and grief, he punched the ground with such power that it hollowed out the earth. In honor of the Shodai Hokage, the crater he created would house the Heroes Memorial. Naruto didn't know if it was a true story, but he chose to believe in it. Walking into the place, countless graves marked the ground, each one a fallen hero. At the very center of the field was a monument for the Will of Fire, and that was where Naruto headed. As he looked around and saw barely a few souls paying their respects, he thought back to his conversation with the Hokage. It was just a normal day for normal people, and no one knew the lengths his brother went through to secure the safety of the village. Ino stood back as Naruto approached the cold pyre. These are for you, Torani. Naruto whispered as he placed the flowers on the marble base, willing his tears away. I hope you like them. He paused and stared at the monument. I really miss you. He bowed low, his hand by his side. Thank you for protecting our home and our family, my family. He looked to the sky, not letting his tears fall. I promise you, Torani, I'll become strong, so strong that none of my loved ones will need to die. I'll protect everyone so no one else has to. I promise, Torani. Wiping his eyes dry, to turn back to Ino, smiling at her. Are you okay? She asked softly, gently holding his sleeve. Yes, I feel much better now. He looked her in the eyes. Thank you for coming here with me. She shook her head. Don't worry about it. Ino looked to the pyre and bowed also, saying a silent prayer, Naruto assumed. He turned to the pyre and bowed again with her. In silence, they turned away, walking back where they came from. I've never been there before, Ino muttered as they climbed the steps, leaving the memorial. I've passed by, but never been in there. I hope you never have to again, Ino-chan. They walked in silence, but it was no longer awkward for Naruto. A weight had left his shoulders and he stood a little straighter. There was a clear goal for the future, to become strong. He had to become stronger than Torani, stronger than his Ji-chan, stronger than every fallen hero in the memorial. Become so strong, he could protect everyone by himself, and no one in his family would have to be in danger anymore. Do you have anything planned for tomorrow, Naruto-kun? Ino's voice broke Naruto away from his thoughts. No, not really. Ji-chan gives me weekends off, so I have nothing to do. Ino grinned. Well, in that case, come back to the park tomorrow. I can introduce you to my friends and we can all play together. Really? Asked Naruto with a hopeful smile. Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. I'll be there, he answered back. Thank you, Ino-chan. Naruto had watched his siblings prepare for missions his entire life. At the call of a scarcely different dull tone played over the intercom, a specific team would emerge from their rooms, sometimes dressed only in their underwear, and they would silently speed toward the armory. The boy had timed them once, and never had any of them taken longer than half a minute to be fully donned in their armor and mask. Immediately after, they'd all flicker to the arsenal, arming their bodies as much as their mission required. Lastly, the team's captain would take stock of their equipment and resources, and Naruto dreamed of the day he could be like his siblings. Never had he thought it'd come so quickly. How many bottles of water do you have sealed in your arm? Asked ANBU Commander Ryu, his mighty dragon mask in full snarl. 12. Commander. Naruto ignored the giggles around him. Have you prepared rations? Naruto nodded with the straightest back he could possibly give. Yes, Commander. Standard procedure. Enough for 3 days beyond mission requirement. What weapons have you collected from the arsenal? 20 kunai, 75 shuriken, 25 feet of ninja wire, 10 explosive tags, and 1 tanto. All have been inspected this morning and have been declared fit for battle. Naruto tapped his forearm. I have also taken the liberty of packing my ink and brush. I may have to aid my friend in creating a storage seal of her own. Very well, the commander noted. Do you still have your first aid kit? Yes, Commander. Fully stocked and accounted for, sir. Naruto could practically feel the giddiness of his sisters, all huddled behind him whispering to themselves. Their masks did little to hide their excitement. It was the least professional Naruto had ever seen them, and it was ruining his first debriefing. He shoved down a pout and continued to refer to the commander, back straight and eyes forward. Good, the commander praised, making the boy resist a grin. Well done, Chibi. Thank you, Commander. The towering beacon of a man knelt down to Naruto, his tone softer. Now, what snacks have you prepared for today? I'm unfamiliar with the latest tastes of children these days. Naruto scratched the back of his head, losing his composure at the mention of his least familiar subject. Yugao ne packed me some pudding cups, Nana ne gave me some lollipops, Mizu ne baked me some chocolate chip cookies, and Shiki ne gave me some money in case I need to buy more snacks. That sounds like enough, added the commander, though I am concerned that we are dealing with so many unknown factors. Make sure to jot down some mental notes as the day progresses. It is imperative we have more information the next time you have a playdate. Ryu lowered his head in thought. Reminder, we are dealing with the heiress to the Yamanaka clan. They are a skilled shinobi family within Konoha and are the foremost experts in mind infiltration abilities. While you are only a novice when it comes to mental defenses, we will also assume that she is a novice in her clan techniques. We have no advantage in this case, but it should be safe to proceed. Duly noted, Commander. I expect a full report upon your return. Commander Ryu stood tall again, nodded at the young soldier. Dismissed. Chibi. Finally, cried his sisters. Like a rag doll, Naruto was dragged into the familiar arms of his older sisters. Bracing himself for the familiar onslaught, the boy held his breath as his face was tightly stuffed against their suffocating chests, turning his head to the left so they would only kiss his right cheek. His left was still sore from yesterday, and made sure to tighten his legs as they proceeded to tightly hug and fling him from side to side. Despite his efforts, he failed. Gasping for air, Naruto pushed Yugao Nei face back. Nei-chan, I can't breathe. Giggling, the ANBU warrior loosened her grip, opting to just hold him in her arms. Sorry Naru-chan, but you just look so cute. His four sisters all swarmed him with pats and kisses, all serious and professional while talking about snacks. Did we have to dress him like this, though? Asked Mizu. What do you mean? Exclaimed Nana. Naru-chan looks so handsome. The four women looked at their favorite person, dressed in custom-made, black shinobi utility pants that blended seamlessly with the smallest 9th edition, black Konoha ANBU urban combat boots ever made, complete with shock absorption and cooling abilities. A custom-fitted, dark gray fishnet shirt covered his torso, and it fitted nicely under a new white, high-collared jacket Jiraiya-sama had sent the boy just a week prior. True to his heritage, a golden Uzumaki symbol graced the back of the jacket with golden chains running along the sleeves. Our little heartbreaker. Nana Nei squeezed his cheeks and kissed his forehead. You're growing up, Naru. Going on playdates already. I can almost see us doing this again when you go on your first date. Mizu, wearing her fierce viper mask, snatched the boy into her arms, holding him protectively. No, Naru-chan, don't listen to her. You don't get to date until you're 18, understand? She stepped back as Nana attempted to retrieve the boy, and no girl will ever be good enough for my Naru-chan. Relax, Mizu, came the calmest voice of the four. He's only 8 years old. We have at least another 8 years before it might actually happen. That's plenty of time to vet all the available girls his age, give or take a 5-year age difference. How outdated are you, Shiki? Nana shook her head at the older woman. Girls these days are different. They're not like how we were. I've seen that Uchiha boy get swarmed by every girl in his entire class and he's not even half as cute as Naru-chan. As soon as our little chibi becomes a genin or even goes to the academy, they'll try to get their claws on him. Mizu leaked some killer intent. They shall taste the cold sting of my blade. Yugao crossed her arms with a smirk. When Naru-chan grows up, I'm not even worried about the little girls. I'm worried about our new recruits. When would the newbies stop seeing Naru-chan as a little brother and start seeing him as a possible target? Mizu turned to Commander Ryu. Commander, I request to personally vet all new recruits as soon as Naru-chan starts puberty. Denied. Commander, Chibi has a mission to complete and the four of you need to report to Hokage-sama. I've already given you more than enough time to catch up with Chibi. Even with the masks, the girls couldn't hide their disappointment. Now go, and I better not find out you've skimmed through your report. I don't mind you four watching over Chibi on his playdate, but while you're on duty, I expect your fullest professionalism. Hi, Commander, came four voices, finally regaining their posture. Mizu placed Naruto on the ground, rubbing her mask against his hair. Have fun today, Naru. Each sister came for one more hug. Remember to be nice and polite, but always stand up for yourself if someone tries to bully you. We'll all be watching over you, so if you're in trouble, signal us and we'll eliminate the enemy. Naruto giggled at his sisters, used to their antics. I will Nei-chan. Thank you. One collective squeal and group hug later, Naruto was finally left alone with the commander. I'll be on my way, Commander. Ryu nodded. May the will of fire warm you on your journey, Chibi. Naruto had never left the barracks on his own before. It gave him an odd, but excited feeling. Jumping through the well-hidden gates, he found himself already at the center of Konoha, crowds of people bustling from all directions. The partly cloudy Sunday was clearly nowhere as busy and active when compared to the cloudless Saturday of yesterday, but it was still much more crowded than what Naruto was used to. Employing the ANBU silent breathing technique, Naruto leveled his breathing, calmed his body, and stepped into the village by himself for the first time. Mission: start. Kaka ni and Commander Ryu's lessons quickly became useful. Blend into a crowd by slipping through the shadows of others, find and keep pace with the slowest walker in the area, then work your way up to the fastest, slipping from one person to another in a zigzag pattern, silent and deadly. Before long, Naruto had left the loud commercial district that surrounded the ANBU barracks, and sped his way to the park. This part of the journey he'd made many times before, always in broad daylight. Today was no different, he repeated to himself. Following the gusts of the winds, Naruto eliminated his scent from everyone save the Inuzuka and ninja hounds, and traveled under the shadows of the tall buildings. Almost absent-mindedly, he counted that he'd passed by 127 people, a skill and habit Commander Ryu and Kaka ni had drilled into his mind ever since he could count. 127 possible enemies evaded. Charting course to the park. The sounds of children's laughter could be heard, meaning the park was near. Leaving the shadows, Naruto expressed a face of apathy, as described by Commander Ryu as attentive, but relaxed almost to the point of laziness. Confidently, he walked into the park, his eyes lazily scanning every small detail around him, and memorizing all escape routes, categorized in an order of availability and probability. He was every bit the ANBU member he strived to be. In this elevated state, he could betray no emotion, no sudden expressions, and give only controlled reactions. Naruto-kun. In an instant, his mind overloaded. His eyes widened, jaw opened silently, arms and legs tensed, shoulders lifted, and most obviously, his face burned. He could almost hear the commander's voice yelling, "Fail," but he still managed to react. Ino-chan. She was even cuter than yesterday. Naruto was flustered, angry at himself for not foreseeing such a possibility. In his mind, Yamanaka Ino in the flower fields was already the absolute pinnacle of cuteness, but he was wrong, by orders of magnitude, he was wrong. He had never anticipated Yamanaka Ino in a golden sundress with a golden hairband holding her golden angel hair in place. In what other ways could she possibly stymie him? It was innumerable. There are too many possibilities. His preparation and training could never match her limitless arsenal of cuteness. She giggled and his heart almost stopped. Sorry, did I scare you? I didn't mean to jump at you like that, but I was excited to see you again. Her eyes shone like eternal starlight and he could barely look at them. I didn't know if you were actually going to come today. He gulped. Of course I came. I've been looking forward to this all day. Her smile widened and his smile followed. It was as if she was utilizing the Nara clan's shadow possession techniques, controlling his body with her own. So far, this mission had many unforeseen difficulties, and his ANBU training was failing him, or he was failing his ANBU training. Really? She jumped closer to him, bouncing on her feet, her eyes shining even brighter. Me, too. I haven't made a new friend in a long time. Her words broke deep into his heart, shattering all of his mental defenses, as expected of the Yamanaka heiress. Her potential was immeasurable. In the face of such an opponent, Naruto could do nothing other than extol his true thoughts. You are actually the first friend I've ever made, Ino-chan. Telling the truth felt cathartic and liberating. Naruto gained new insight regarding the victims of interrogation. I wouldn't have missed this for the world. Ino's cheeks were growing red, possibly due to the zenith heat. Perhaps it wasn't as cloudy as he'd thought. Should he offer her another bottle of water? But would that lead to a conversation about fuinjutsu again? Would she want him to draw her seal immediately? He brought all his materials, but they had no stable foundation like a table or bench. It could possibly affect the end result. No, failure in front of Ino was unacceptable. He would wait until they settled down at a table or bench, then he would offer her water. I am, she asked quietly. It took Naruto a second to catch on to her reference. Yes, I've never had a friend before. I don't leave home that often, and since I am also homeschooled, I don't get to meet anyone my age at all. He smiled as his emotions took over. I'm so happy I met you yesterday. Ino's face grew redder still. It was not good. He must bring her into the shade immediately. It's getting hot, so let's go find a spot in the shade. He inwardly awarded himself a high five for keeping a steady voice. Sure, she stuttered. Maybe she was more uncomfortable with the heat than he thought. Speech impediment was a sign of heat stroke, specifically slurred speech. Ino was not quite displaying such a symptom, but he could not take the risk. Come on, we have to hurry. He grabbed her hand, which was sweaty. Another symptom of heat stroke. He ran as quickly as she could, his eyes frantically searching for a large tree, and he was rewarded with a towering oak with a near-empty shadow and a very enticing vacant bench by its trunk. With quick glances and counting in his head, there were 22 people standing between them and the bench, 10 of which were heading for that direction, and the bench can only seat 2. It was a race. Grasping Ino's hand tighter, he led her through the crowd, ignoring the odd smile the wandering adults were sending their way. Only a bit farther, Ino-chan. Oh okay, came her weak voice. No, she was becoming weak. Finally, another 8 seconds passed, and they were coolly sitting on the shaded bench, back against the cold and refreshing wood. That was close, he muttered, smiling at Ino. Are you feeling better now? I'm sorry, I should have known better than to talk under the hot sun. Leaning closer to her, he gently placed a hand on her forehead, and she was burning. Her eyes were wide and she looked like a tomato. Was she going to faint? That could be deadly. He hadn't packed any ice packs. How could he have been so careless? This entire mission was a dark mark he could never erase from his records. He could already sense the disappointment of his family. Ino-chan, try to relax and drink some water. He tried to pull his sleeve up to unseal the water, but this jacket had no stretch. It wouldn't pull up high enough. Cursing himself and his godfather for using such faulty equipment, he took off his jacket, leaving him bare in his fishnet shirt, which was now clinging to him because of his nervous perspiration. Sorry, stupid jacket was blocking my seal. He tapped on the seal and summoned the bottle of water, and it was still cold. Please, Ino-chan, you have to drink this as soon as possible. You're burning up. Heat strokes are very dangerous. Here, I'll open it for you. He slid closer to her, his leg brushing against hers, and he felt a jolt of electricity through him. Perhaps she was a Raiden user, but he couldn't dwell on that thought. He gently lifted the bottle to her lips, staring pleadingly into her eyes. Please drink, he whispered, but she wasn't moving. Please, Ino-chan. Slowly she tilted her head back and he gladly poured the bottle for her, smiling in relief as she drank as much as she needed. He had salvaged the mission. His friendship with Ino was still possible. There you go, he said softly, pulling the bottle back once she finished over half. You should be feeling better soon. Ino stared at him, wide-eyed and still burning red. Thank you, Naruto-kun. He gave her his widest grin. No problem, Ino-chan. Anything to make you feel better. Unknown to the young duo, above them in the canopy of the oak tree, under a veil of shadows, hid 4 ANBU members. Each suppressed their chakra to their lowest point, all knowing of Naruto's sensory abilities. Together, these 4 agents had completed over 500 missions ranging from A to S ranked, and all have been on more recon missions than they cared to count, but never had it been harder for 3 of the 4 of them to remain silent than now. Yugao, wearing her cat mask, pinched herself on the thigh, desperately trying to stifle her laughter. The ever-prepared Kunoichi, she had brought along with her a parabolic microphone and video camera, and she would forever thank whatever power above for allowing her to capture this moment on tape. Don't laugh, Nana whispered, biting into her lip to stop herself. Yugao, her shoulders trembling, replied, I can't. Shiki, holding her breath, managed to realize that 4 branches conveniently surrounded them. Forming a hand sign, she quickly attached 4 tags on them and whispered, silencing barrier. It took a total of 5 seconds to fully envelop them, and it was the longest 5 seconds of their lives. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ha 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 ha. Yugao nearly fell from the tree as tears pooled behind her mask, clutching onto a branch. I got it on tape. I got it on tape. No, please, managed Nana between gasps, I'm going to pee myself. Shiki, huddled in a corner, trembled and shook in laughter, clutching her stomach, oh, it hurts. Mizu, the only one not laughing, crossed her arms and shook her head. You 3 are ridiculous. This is not funny. Clearly our little brother has been corrupted. Yugao choked between breaths of laughter, swatted at Mizu's leg, stop, I'm also going to pee myself. Ugh, laugh it off, Mizu muttered, I'll wait. It took a full 5 minutes, and they were nearly exhausted after. Mizu, welcoming the silence in between giggles, continued, we have a problem on our hands. Clearly, cried Nana, you were worried about the girls. I am worried for the girls. We have a budding heartbreaker on our hands. Yugao leaned against Shiki, he took off his jacket. The laughter returned, and bottle fed her. Shiki settled down into a chuckle, that poor girl never knew what hit her. Calm down, ladies. Mizu sighed, yes, I am no longer concerned about the girls, but we have a much bigger problem on our hands. Clearly someone has been teaching Naruto to behave inappropriately. If I had to guess I'd blame this on Kakashi. He's become quite brazen lately with his reading material. But Hokage-sama or even Commander Ryu wouldn't be out of the question. Clearly Hokage-sama shares similar interests as Kakashi, and we never know what the commander is thinking. Killer intent was leaking from her, but the main cause of our problem is one of the legendary Sannin, Jiraiya-sama. Yugao sent Nana and Shiki a look, rolling her eyes. Jiraiya-sama hasn't been in the village for years, Mizu. No, but he has been sending Naruto books to read. Who knows what he slipped in between those fuinjutsu volumes. Either way, they are just children. I'm sure Naruto had no idea what he was actually doing and was genuinely trying to save the girl from a heat stroke. Nana erupted in laughter again. Shiki looked over at Yugao, please send me a copy of the tape. Yugao grinned, oh, I'm giving this to everyone in the barracks. Naruto and Ino sat in silence with the boy diligently watching the girl. It took a long while, but her face finally cooled down, and she had since finished the bottle of water, by herself. But now her gaze barely met his eyes, and he wondered if she was mad at him. Had he been too rough while pulling her into the shade? Perhaps she didn't want help with the bottle. Again, there were just too many variables concerning Yamanaka Ino. Are you feeling better? Ino nodded meekly, shyly glancing at his worried eyes. Much better. I'm okay now, Naruto-kun. Great. He rubbed the back of his head, I'm sorry for being so forceful before. I was scared you were going to pass out from the heat. No, Ino quickly squeaked, it's okay. They sat in silence again, but were much more comfortable this time. A soft breeze blew into the clearing, loudly ruffling the leaves above them, and they both cooled down significantly. So, Naruto began, breaking the silence, "Where are your other friends? I thought you were all playing here today." Ino gave Naruto a small smile and shook her head. "No, it's just me." She sighed. "We do usually meet here to play, but they weren't here yesterday either." She frowned, and Naruto was flooded with worry. "I don't think we're friends anymore. I had a fight with them a few days ago at the academy." "Fight?" asked Naruto concerned. "You mean like a spar? Did it get out of hand?" "No, it was a yelling fight," she replied, "but I did trick them into thinking that I poisoned them." "Huh." Ino sighed. "There's this girl in the same class as me. Her name is Haruno Sakura, and she's super sweet and cute. She has a larger forehead than most people, but still cute. For the whole school year, these girls, who I guess are my friends, started to bully her because of her forehead. They made her cry everything." "That's horrible," exclaimed Naruto. "Causing dissent within a team, or in this case, a class, was a punishable office in the ANBU. Did your sensei punish them?" Ino rolled her eyes. "Of course they didn't. These girls are smart when it comes to this stuff. They only make fun of her during field exercises when no one is around. Sakura is also very shy, so she'll never tell on them to sensei." Naruto connected the dots and smiled at Ino. "So you were there to protect her?" "I did what I can," she replied. "I asked Sakura to be my partner for the class. I thought maybe this way she could join our group and they would stop bullying her, but it didn't work. It didn't matter that I was there. They still kept calling her billboard brow and made her cry. These girls lack discipline." Naruto thought a round of training with Commander Ryu would straighten them out. "I know, right?" Ino crossed her arms. "I was mad, so I grabbed the flowers we were collecting and threw them into Ami's yapping mouth." She smirked. "They went all the way in, too." She was coughing and fell down. They were so shocked. Just to get them to leave, I told them the flowers were poisonous and they'd die if they didn't find sensei right away. "Wow. So you resolved the situation with no casualties, no waste of actual resources, but still made the enemy retreat out of fear." Naruto grinned. "You're really smart, Ino-chan." She giggled. "I guess so, and I didn't get into any trouble with sensei either. I have so much dirt on them that they'd never tell the teachers that I did that to them." She leaned closer to Naruto, making him blush. "Don't tell anyone, but I know all their little secrets. If I ever decide to gossip on them, they'd never recover." Naruto's eyes widened. "So you're the spy master of the academy?" "Ha! You could say that." He stared into her sparkling eyes and smiled. "You're amazing, Ino-chan." Her face turned red again. "Thanks." She shook her head and grinned. "So it's only me and you today. What do you want to play?" Naruto pursed his lips. "I'm still worried about you, so we should avoid the sun for now." With a grin, he asked, "How about I help you with your own storage seal? I brought my ink and brush today." "Really?" she asked, smiling widely. "Sure." Tapping the seal on his right forearm, Naruto unsealed his calligraphy set. It was still in pristine condition, barely a change from when he first received it from his godfather. It was crafted in the capital, by the same master who would supply the fire daimyo. The handle was carved from a tree found in the Senju forest and would react well to chakra, allowing steady hands to write smoothly. The brush was finely shaped by a mixture of rabbit's hair, weasel hair, and goat hair. Even the ink was finely prepared, with master craftsmen pouring 6 months of their time to properly cultivate. Naruto had infused it with his own chakra, allowing him to mold the ink along with his brush strokes. Wetting the ink with a dash of his water, he gently mixed it together, fully focused. When he was finally done, he smiled at Ino, who for some reason was red-faced again. He handed her another water before kneeling down on one knee in front of her, gently holding her hand. "Do you want this on your right arm or left arm?" Ino bit her lip, still burning red. I am right-handed, so I'll have it on my left arm. That way I can unseal it with my right hand. He nodded. Okay. As if treating a princess, Naruto softly placed Ino's arm on his knee. He held onto her hand with his left and drew with his right. This was his first time drawing a seal on someone else, drawing for his first friend, and he was beyond excited. He looked up at her and smiled, thankful for her indulgence. She was so smart, honorable, and cool. Not to mention the cutest being imaginable. He couldn't believe she was here with him. This may feel a little ticklish at first, but try to stay still, okay? Oh, okay. He started the first stroke, and she flinched slightly, but it did not matter. It also a bit cold, sorry about that. She silently shook her head, still red. She didn't flinch on the second stroke, and all was calm and serene, as fuinjutsu should be. This was his art, as his godfather would tell him in his letters, and he should take pride in it. He continued with confidence and efficiency. This is a simple seal, he explained, barely louder than a whisper. We are drawing a basic array first around the spot we want to actual seal to be. Think of these inscriptions as pathways for your chakra to access, and your arm as the seal tag. It may cover a large area of your arm for now, but at the end, you'll only have a small mark on it. He felt Ino stare at him intently as she spoke. How long have you been practicing this? A few months now, he replied, his voice soft and gentle. Apparently my mother and father were quite good at fuinjutsu when they were alive, so my godfather figured that I might take to it as well. He was right. I don't really enjoy book learning, but I couldn't put the fuinjutsu books down once I started reading. You could be a seal master by the time we grow up, she added, her voice as soft as the breeze. He smiled, his eyes never leaving her arm. Maybe, but my dream is to become Hokage. He glanced at her briefly, blushing slightly at her intense stare. Every Hokage in history has been a part of the regular forces and they have all taken a genin team. I guess for now I am aiming to become a jonin and foster my own genin team. He braved another glance at her, marveling at her sparkling eyes. But this is a long time into the future. He managed to stare at her for 5 seconds before looking away, his heart beating almost too fast for him to concentrate. What about you? What kind of kunoichi do you want to be when you grow up? She started, but stopped. He noticed something with his left hand that was holding hers. Her pulse was extremely quick, almost 120 beats per minute, he figured with a quick calculation. His heart was beating fast after his 5 seconds of staring, but hers was even faster. Perhaps she was nervous about the seal. Take some deep breaths, Ino-chan. He stopped briefly to look at her, his heart accelerating again. This is a simple seal etching, it's not dangerous and you won't feel any sort of discomfort with it. She nodded, breathing in deeply, but still burning red. I'm okay, Naruto-kun. You can continue. He smiled. You're doing great, Ino-chan. He noticed her look away from him, but spoke, you look really cool when you work, Naruto-kun. It was his turn to flinch. Thankfully the brush was lifted at that second, but his heart was now beating faster than hers. Thank you, he managed, his face burning, no one has ever called me cool before. She was still looking away from him, but her pulse was still accelerating. We can talk more while we do this, he said, once again starting to draw. I've practiced this seal a lot, so I can do this easily. We should keep talking to help us relax. Sure, she whispered back. Your friends, he started as Ino slowly turned to look at him again, or well, not really your friends anymore. Do you think they'll bother you anymore? Ino shook her head. No, I don't think so. If they did, they'd be here today and yesterday. That's good, he added. What about the girl you mentioned, Sakura-san? She'll be fine, too. I'll be there for her as her friend. He smiled. I guess she is as lucky as I am, huh? She looked away again, her pulse erratic. Why yep. Just a few moments more and Naruto smiled, ending his drawing with one final stroke. There we go. We're done. Ino turned back and looked at her arm. Almost half of her forearm was covered in his impeccable penmanship. Wow. This really doesn't seem like it's a simple seal. It is once you understand it. He gently brought Ino's arm closer to his mouth and softly blew on the ink, hoping to dry it faster. It may look like a lot, but there are a lot of repeating patterns. It's plenty of drawing, but an easy concept. Ino looked like a tomato, so what's next? This. Naruto formed a Hitsuji hand sign and focused his chakra to his right palm. He held Ino's arm in his left hand as he placed his right on her forearm. With a burst of chakra in his palm, he whispered, "Fuin." Ino watched with widened eyes and fascination as the inscriptions on her skin moved in concentric circles, slowly bumping into each other until they overlapped into layers. They spun around Naruto's hand and soon enough it became smaller than his palm, shrinking to the center of her forearm. It took another few seconds before Naruto smiled at her. Technically, this final outer layer of this seal can look like whatever we want, so I figured you'd like this. Naruto lifted his palm and Ino gasped. The seal was finished and she saw her own clan's symbol on her arm, a perfect bush clover barely the size of a coin. Naruto grinned, "Mine looks like a whirlpool, which is the Uzumaki symbol. I don't think you'd want that on your arm, so I spent last night perfecting the Yamanaka symbol. It wasn't hard to do since both our clan symbols are perfect circles. I just had no change some small details on the outer layer of the array." He saw her staring at him and he stared back. "Do you like it?" She gave a small smile. "I do," she whispered as her smile grew, "I love it." He breathed a sigh of relief, his smile matching hers. "That's good. I wasn't sure. She started with a pause, "You learned to draw my clan symbol like this just for me?" "Of course." He grinned, "You're the only Yamanaka I know." Ino hugged her arm close to her chest before giving Naruto the most beautiful smile he'd ever seen in his life. "Thank you, Naruto-kun. I really love it." "You're welcome," he answered loudly and happily. He leaned closer to her and asked for her arm. Taking her shaking hand, he placed it again on his knee, gently running his thumb across the seal. "Now, let me teach you how to use it." Throughout his explanation, in his excitement, he never really noticed that Ino was staring at him the entire time, nor did he feel her pulse skyrocketing to new heights. Naruto's 4 older sisters stared down at the scene, all nursing a gentle smile. They each leaned against their own tree branch and sighed, packing away their equipment. "It's settled," muttered Yugao. "Naru-chan will be an absolute heartthrob when he grows up. He does it so naturally," added Nana, "and he has absolutely no idea." Shiki chuckled with her arms crossed, "That's what makes him so dangerous. It all comes from the heart and he is genuinely that sweet. This poor girl stands no chance." "I can live with that," Mizu relented, "she seems like a good girl to me. Anyone who would stand up to her own friends like that just to protect someone has earned my respect." The others nodded along. "And she's Inoichi-san's daughter. She may join our ranks in the future." Yugao smirked. "I call dibs on her." "Damn it," came 3 voices in unison. The sun had set and Naruto had left. He had promised her to meet with her again next weekend, but that was 5 days and 5 nights away. For Ino, that seemed like years away. She had almost kept him from leaving, but she knew she shouldn't. He mentioned one of his brother would be returning from a mission later tonight, and she would not rob him of that, especially not after she knew about his other brother had died. But he had been so close to her for so long, nearly 6 hours. But it worked out for the best. Without the sun, she had no excuse for her tomato cheeks. She slowly made her way home, knowing that her parents must be expecting her soon. She hoped for some cold evening winds, because she had no excuse for her burning face. No matter how much of Naruto's water she drank, it just wouldn't cool down. Just a few more blocks and she would be home. It was not enough time to calm down. Ino-chan. A small voice broke Ino from her thoughts, and she saw Sakura waiting for her by a bench. Damn it, she thought. Naruto had forever changed benches for her, and once again she felt her heart throb. Sakura. Ino approached the girl, unknowingly still hugging her arm close, feeling the warmth on her new seal. What are you doing here? Do you have time? The girl asked, her pink hair held in place by the red ribbon Ino had given her. Can we talk? Ino shrugged. Sure. What's up? They both sat down on the bench, with Sakura looking down at her folded hands, clearly nervous. Normally, Ino would have been concerned and probably would have inquired, but her mind had been thoroughly consumed by a yellow ball of sunshine and roses. The two girls sat there on the bench, both apparently reeling from adolescent challenges. Sakura started to speak, but Ino didn't even hear her. Why did his eyes have to be so blue? Ino had thought the entire day. They were like sapphires, big and round and cute. They were so bright and sparkly that she could barely look into them without burning up. Why did his sun-like hair frame his eyes like a golden crown? Why were his hands so warm? Why was he so handsome? Why did he look so cool? Ino-chan. Naruto was so sweet, as well. He stayed up the previous night just to learn how to make her seal look like her clan symbol. The bush clover, which symbolizes positive love. Was this a sign? Were her ancestors pushing her towards Naruto? Ino-chan, are you alright? Did you hear what I said? 5 days and 5 nights. How could she even sleep, much less train and study? Thankfully, if this weekend was any indication, she wouldn't have to deal with her ex-friends anymore. At most she'd have to deal with Shikamaru and Choji. Why did they always have to be in the same class as her? One only knows how to sleep and the other only knows how to eat. Why couldn't Naruto-kun be in her class? That way she could see him every day and not only during weekends. Sakura gently nudged Ino and got a soft groan from the blonde. Did you hear what I said, Ino-chan? Sakura turned to face Ino and spoke with rare confidence. I said that I like Sasuke-kun, too. I really like Sasuke-kun. Are you okay with that? Ino hazily looked at her second newest friend and sighed, Sasuke who? The day was long for Hitaki Kakashi. The infamous A-ranked shinobi, son of the White Fang, student of the Yellow Flash, the copy ninja was reduced to being a footman. This day marked the 5th delivery and recon mission he had done in as many days. For nearly a week, he had been subjugated to the same mundane safety of main roads. It was hardly fitting of an ANBU captain to be traveling abreast with simple merchants and traveling shows, clutching onto a small scroll that surely no one wanted to steal. In his stretching career as a trained assassin, he'd never been as bored. He hadn't used any of his 1000 jutsu in a while and his hands were becoming restless. Sparks of electricity flared between his fingers as he removed his ANBU mask, stuffing everything into his locker. He was once again in his room, within reach of his warm and comfortable bed, his too comfortable bed. It was too soft, as was he. There was a time when he found dirt too soft, opting for a strong branch for sleep. Now he felt sleepy just at the sight of his bed. Perhaps the Hokage was punishing him for something. Perhaps this was the ANBU version of D-ranked missions. But why? It has been a long time since his last blunder, if it could even be considered that. He and his team were ambushed and Tenzo was safekeeping the prisoner. It was only logical to force his team to retreat while he held the lines. He had protected his comrades and ensured the success of the mission. The Hokage had insisted that Kakashi still had self-sacrificing tendencies. The Hokage was wrong. Sure, he may have at one point in his life grown tired of living, but that was before a little ball of sunshine took over all free hours of his life. Kaka ni. Said ball of sunshine launched himself at his brother and landed on his shoulders, grasping at his silver hair. You're back. Kakashi gave a low chuckle. Yes, I'm back. He held onto the boy's ankles to steady him, but what are you still doing up? It's almost 11 o'clock. I just finished my report to Commander Ryu. Naruto grinned, bouncing on his brother's shoulders. He said I did a good job. I'm too excited to sleep. I see, muttered the captain as he made his way to their usual evening gathering spot, the smaller cafeteria located on the eastern wing of the barracks. And how many of your sister's snacks did you eat to celebrate? You are way too energetic tonight. The boy shrugged, just a few cookies. I finished most of my snacks with Ino-chan today, so I didn't have much left. He pouted. The commander didn't let Nana bake more cookies for tonight. Kakashi chuckled again. Ino-chan, huh? Did you have fun today? Lots of fun. Naruto smiled brighter than Kakashi had ever seen. Ino-chan is so cool and so smart. She let me draw a storage seal on her arm and it only took her an hour to learn how to use it. She told me they only started the leaf floating exercise at the academy, but she was able to mold enough chakra to seal and unseal 10 bottles of water by the end. The brothers made their way into the dining area and Kakashi saw most of his colleagues were still there. Yugao, Nana, Mizu and Shiki were all huddled together in the middle of the room, sitting in front of the TV, giggling loudly into the night. Even Tenzo was still awake, silently trimming his precious bonsai tree behind the ladies, a small smile on his face as he watched the screen. Ko sat beside him, his legs up on the table and hands behind his head, quietly chuckling. Even Commander Ryu was there, standing tall and stoic with his arms crossed, silently regarding the TV with his hawk-like eyes. All the while, Naruto was still relaying to his favorite brother every small detail about the Yamanaka heiress, accurate and minute to the point to which Kakashi wondered if they'd trained him too well. Welcome back, Senpai, greeted Tenzo, chuckling at his captain. Did you know, apparently Inoichi-san's daughter is the top student of her class. Oh, and she's super cool and really loves Nana's chocolate chip cookies, Ko added with a grin. Tenzo sighed with a grin. Naruto has not stopped talking about his new best friend ever since he came home. Naruto huffed and crossed his arms, balancing himself on Kakashi's shoulders. I was just making my report as thorough as possible. Ah, Naru-chan, started Yugao, are you sure it's not because you already miss her? You keep talking about how you promised to meet with her again next week. Naruto turned a little red. Don't worry, we'll let you go see her whenever you want to. And we'll make some more snacks for you next time. Apparently, Ino-chan loves sweet things. Not to mention that she's the spy master of the academy, added Commander Ryu, completely serious. This girl has acquired intelligence on most of her classmates, but despite this, she has yet to utilize any of such information for personal gain. This indicates an acceptable ethical standard and an understanding of using power in moderation. I am very impressed with young Yamanaka-san. Naruto nodded enthusiastically as others' sweat dropped, used to the commander's personality. Kakashi-senpai, called out Shiki, you should come take a look at this. Yeah, cried out Naruto, Ne-chan recorded my mission. They said I did a good job. Kakashi knelt down to the TV, his one normal eye watching closely. It was obviously filmed from an eagle's eye view, aiming down at the targets, namely Naruto and the little Yamanaka girl. It was a good angle and the shot was clear, it was steady as well, they must have mounted the camera. The sound was also coming through loud and clear, they must have been prepared and fully equipped. Naruto hopped down to the ground. I made it to the target destination on time and without a trail. Kakashi watched the screen and saw his little brother step from the shadows while using his expression of apathy, as trained by him, but also saw him completely lose it upon seeing his friend. Okay, I may have lost my focus there, but it did not cost me the mission. Ah, did Ino-chan scare you? Asked Nana, pulling her chibi into her arms, or was she so pretty that you completely lost focus? Naruto blushed. I was just surprised. At how pretty she is? Asked Yugao, looking innocent. No. Naru, why don't you explain to Kakashi what happened here? Asked Shiki as the screen showed Naruto pulling Ino into the shade. Right. Exclaimed the boy. The day was unexpectedly hot and Ino-chan must have been standing in the sun for too long. While conversing, I noticed her face was turning red, like exceedingly red. His sisters all crossed their arms and nodded sagely along. I realized that it must be a sign of heat stroke. Kakashi choked on his spit as Tenzo and Ko chuckled. As you can see, I was forced to retreat to a cooler area, and because of Ino-chan's weakened state, I thought it best that I lead her by the hand. Yes, that was a smart move, Naruto, commented Ko, very smooth. Right, replied Naruto, looking utterly confused. It was at this point that I noticed her hand was getting sweaty, another sign of heat stroke. Ko and Tenzo chuckled again as Kakashi stared at Naruto. I had to hurry, so I regrettably held onto her hand tighter and ran faster. At this point, even her voice was weak. She even started to stutter. I was really worried, but we got to the bench on time. Was her face still red? Asked Kakashi, sounding serious. Yes. Naruto pointed at the TV, it was getting even more red. She looked like a tomato. Kakashi was seriously wondering if Minato-sensei's overly dominant genes somehow compelled his son to be attracted to tomato girls. Kushina must have been smiling down at her son at that moment. She had often told Kakashi that she wanted Naruto to find a girl like her. I placed my hand on her forehead to see if she was burning up, and she was. And she kept getting redder. Kakashi just stared at his brother, the girls all quieting laughing behind them. The heat must have somehow affected her, so I thought to unseal some water for her. Kakashi nodded, following along. But here is where I must file a complaint. Naruto huffed. The jacket Jiraiya Jiji sent me has no stretch. Kakashi watched the screen and saw Naruto take off his jacket in front of the girl before proceeding to show her his arms. I had to take it off to get the water, and that cost me a few seconds. Thankfully, I got the water on time. Ino-chan looked like she was close to passing out by then. Kakashi felt his jaw drop as he watched his brother lean close, very close to the girl, and proceeded to bottle feed her the water. She was almost unresponsive when I tried to feed her the water. It took a few seconds, but she managed to drink some. Thank goodness, because I'm not sure if she would still want to be my friend if she passed out the first time we played together. Why, you almost made a girl pass out the first time you played with her? Asked Kakashi, ignoring the laughs of Tenzo and Ko. No, I didn't, answered Naruto, the heat did. Aren't you listening, Kakani? Please, continue. And so the boy did, recounting his first mission to the most minute detail, supported by video evidence. Not once did he notice the baffled and widened eyes of Kakashi. The ANBU captain was looking around at his comrades, all sending him a knowing smile. Even the commander was amused, he had stopped crossing his arms. They all knew. They understand. They realize Naruto's potential and what this could mean. Oh, you look so cool, Naruto-kun, cried Nana loudly, smiling at the boy's blush. Shut up, Nana-ne. He blushed to the roots of his hair. Ino-chan didn't say it like that. Yugao grinned. So how did she say it? She said it better. He yelled as he grew redder. Just let me give my report. The highlights were reviewed and soon the tape came to a close. I knew you were coming home tonight, Kakani, so I called it a day when the sun started to go down. Ino-chan looked a little disappointed, but she told me that her parents are waiting for her at home, too. We ended it there, but I promised her that we'll play again next weekend. Kakashi stared down at his beloved little brother, who actually ended his playtime with a girl just so he could welcome him home. On one hand, he was elated and proud that he meant so much to his brother, but on the other, he regretted rushing home so quickly. If he had taken the time and camped for the night, could Naruto have progressed even further on his mission? Perhaps at sundown, the Yamanaka girl could still be blushing and his innocent brother could actually catch on. Kakashi damned his own efficiency. As he was reeling from his thoughts, Yugao broke the silence. So, Naru-chan, she asked with a grin, what do you plan to do with Ino-chan next weekend? Are you going to spend both days with her? Naruto hopped to turn to his sister, looking up at her pleadingly. I haven't asked Ji-chan yet, but can I? I promise I'll finish all my homework and clock in all my field training. Yugao's grin widened as Nana stepped in. Oh, I'm sure Hokage-sama will allow it. He wouldn't stand in the way of young love. Naruto tilted his head. What do you mean by that? Nothing, answered Mizu, bringing Naruto to her arms, turning him away from his other sisters, making them roll their eyes at her. Don't worry about what she said, just focus on playing at the park and enjoy yourself. You're still a child, so all you need to worry about is playing and meeting new friends, okay? He grinned and nodded. Yeah, I can do that. Shiki sighed, and stood with a clap. Okay, we've had our fun. Time for bed. She lightly patted Naruto's back and pushed Mizu along. Naru-chan still needs to take his bath and brush his teeth. You stay up any later and you'll be sorry in the morning. Your studies will still start at 8 o'clock sharp. Naruto pouted as he was carried away. Fine. Good night, Chibi, muttered Tenzo with a wave. Good night, Tenzo-ni, the boy muttered, clearly pouting. Good night, everybody. Ko chuckled. Good night, kiddo. Have some sweet dreams. Mizu immediately glared at him and rushed on. Yes, dream about puppies and candy. Yugao and Nana giggled and followed along. If you keep that up, Mizu will gut you in your sleep. Nana flicked Ko's head. Reel it in before you push her too far. Ko slipped his hand into hers and kissed her knuckles. You'll protect me, right? Nana winked and ran her fingers through his hair. Maybe, depends on what you say. Oh, get a room, muttered Yugao, walking away. Maybe later, Nana said with another wink, following Yugao out of the room. Now only the men were left in the room and they immediately gathered together, standing in formation with their arms crossed. In silence, they each contemplated the day and the surprises it brought, all revolving around their little prodigy. New light had been shed on their situation. Until today, they all had thought Naruto was going to grow up to be a disciplined, efficient, powerful, and deadly shinobi, one they would welcome into their ranks with open arms and have lead the next generation of Konoha to greatness. But now, he could be even more. It seems, started Kakashi with a whisper, it seems our little brother has another natural talent. It would seem so, added Ko, one we don't see very often, especially not in one so young and innocent. Reminds me a bit of Itachi before he went crazy, but even then, Itachi only ever relied on his looks, never his charisma or personality. Chibi has both in spades. Tenzo sighed, I see where this is going, but shouldn't we wait until he's a bit older? I was a chunin at his age, said Kakashi, and we're only talking about learning on paper. There won't be any sort of technical application until he's at least a chunin, maybe genin, it depends if the world is at peace or at war. You're kidding, replied Tenzo, nursing his temples. You try to slip Naruto Ika and every female colleague of ours will torture and kill you. No, not Ika, Kakashi insisted, just some basic young love novels, completely wholesome, I promise. And some on basic biology, added Ko, he should have some basic sexual education along with the romance novels. We want to avoid any sort of confusion. Good call, answered Kakashi, we should also add in some books on body language and physiological responses. The poor boy thought the girl was having a heat stroke. Ko chuckled, that still makes me laugh. Ahem, Commander Ryu cleared his throat, making the three men straighten up. We may also consider adding certain parameters to his future missions with the young Yamanaka. Kakashi rubbed his chin in thought, nothing indecent, considering their age and station, but subtle indications of progression. Have the boy count the number of times he managed to make the girl smile, or monitor hers or his own heart rate during contact, or even have him learn as much as he can about her likes and dislikes as possible. The more he knows about her, the better. Oh, that's good. Ko smirked. We should construct lessons on gentlemanly conduct and vocabulary, just like how we taught him the silent killing method. We have him act as such during these missions and rate his performance accordingly. Yes, yes, muttered Kakashi, such parameters will allow us to progressively increase the difficulties of these missions. Ko smirked. By the end, Chibi will be able to charm any woman in the world, not just the Yamanaka heiress. The commander nodded. Yes, and we will be able to send him on any mission involving the opposite. The amount of information he could retrieve for Konoha would be insurmountable. Female daimyo, wives of daimyo, princesses, noble ladies all around the continent. It would be a gold mine. Yes, for the prosperous future of Konoha, added Ko, that's why we're doing this. Tenzo sighed and relented. No matter what I say, I know you'll ignore me. Kakashi patted his shoulder and nodded in agreement. But let me add, we do this privately and discreetly. We can monitor the situation, but we must not make a public farce of all this. No recording whatsoever. We want Naruto to thrive and succeed as a man, not to use him for entertainment. We do this, and this all stays between us. No one can know. Ko nodded. Yes, just the four of us. Hokage-sama will kill us all if we don't include him, added Commander Ryu, same with Jiraiya-sama. Ko shuddered at the thought. Yes, you're right. Just the six of us. His first friend is the Yamanaka heiress. Ko whistled. I wonder who else would he meet. And when they grow up, what will happen? How many girlfriends do you think he'll have? Kakashi chuckled at the thought. As a genin on Minato-sensei's team, he had often overheard conversations between Jiraiya and the Yondaime. More than once had Jiraiya tried to get Minato to let loose and have some fun. Away from prying eyes and ears, the Sannin had tried to tempt his student with stories of his conquests around the elemental nations, one he would later turn into literary masterpieces, but not once had the yellow flash relented. Kakashi could scarcely count the number of women who had tried to solicit his sensei. It must have been hundreds, even more after he became one of the youngest Kage in history. Whether it was inside the village or outside, Minato-sensei was always surrounded by girls. Kushina-sensei, being one of the most powerful, and definitely one of the most violent, kunoichi in Konoha, had never once tried to intervene. She was never jealous and had only ever laughed at her boyfriend, husband. She was not the least bit worried because she knew Minato-sensei better than anyone. If there was one thing Namikaze Minato was, it was loyal. Minato-sensei was loyal to Konoha and Uzumaki Kushina. The Yondaime had the looks, charisma, skill, power, position, and reverence to have any woman in the world, but he only wanted his childhood sweetheart and wife. Now Naruto was in a similar situation. Kakashi wondered if the boy would be like his father in this regard as well. Yamanaka Amiko was perplexed. She had heard from her daughter about her situation with her friends at the academy. While she was proud of her daughter for standing up for poor Sakura-chan, she was worried about Ino losing almost all of her friends. The Yamanaka matriarch had gone on a bakery shopping spree after dropping her daughter off at the park, fully intending to defeat Ino's sadness with sweets. But upon her return, Ino was happier than she'd ever seen her. Sitting together on the couch watching TV, Amiko watched as her daughter giggled to herself. Ino-chan, are you feeling okay? Ino looked at her mother, smiling widely, and nodded. Of course. I feel great. Did you have fun today at the park? I did. The girl replied loudly. I had the best day ever. A manly chuckle interrupted Amiko's next question as Yamanaka Inoichi walked in, happily scooping his daughter into his arms. The girl giggled as she sat on her father's lap, happily bouncing as he sat back down on the couch. Inoichi kissed his daughter's hair. What got you so happy today, princess? I spend the day playing with Naruto-kun. Amiko blinked in surprise along with her husband. Naruto-kun, did you make a new friend? And is it a boy? Asked Inoichi softly, looking afraid. Yeah, didn't I tell you about him? Ino's smile was so wide Amiko was afraid it'd hurt. I met him yesterday at the park. I was playing in our flower fields and he walked by looking for flowers. We hung out the whole day yesterday and today. She giggled again, much to Inoichi's horror. He's the coolest. Ignoring her husband's pale face, Amiko smiled. That's great to hear, honey. Pausing for thought, how old is Naruto-kun? Is he around your age? Yep, we're the same age. Ino was still bouncing happily on her father's lap, not seeing his horrified expression. Actually, I am 17 days older than him. He was born on October 10th. I asked. That seemed to break Inoichi out of his nightmare. October 10th, 8 years ago. Ino nodded. Amiko caught on, grimacing. That really was not a good day to have for a birthday. If he's your age, have you met him before at the academy? No, Naruto-kun doesn't go to the academy. Oh, so he's a civilian. Ino shook her head quickly, her smile returning. No, Naruto-kun wants to be a ninja. He wants to be Hokage. Amiko smiled at her daughter's enthusiasm. And he's already got amazing chakra control, way more advanced than what we learn at the academy. Really? Asked Inoichi. Where did he learn it if not at the academy? He said he's taught at home by his family. Is he in a clan? Asked the father. What's his last name? Uzumaki, she exclaimed, missing the flinch of her father. His full name is Uzumaki Naruto. Amiko looked at her husband before asking, Uzumaki, that's a name I haven't heard in a while. Did you meet his parents? Ino's smile dimmed. No, Naruto-kun's parents died during the Kyuubi attack. He lives with his grandfather and his siblings. Amiko sat closer to her husband and daughter, reaching for her husband's shaking hand. What does Naruto-kun look like? Ino blushed with a shy smile. He looks very cool. She looked away from her parents. He is so handsome, she whispered, getting redder. He is even more handsome than Sasuke-kun, and way cooler, too. Like, he actually talks and smiles and laughs. He has such a cute laugh. That's great, honey, interrupted Amiko, but what are his features like? Like his hair or eyes? Ino grinned. He has blonde hair, too. Inoichi flinched as Ino continued, but not like ours, it's a bit darker. It's also very messy, but in a good way. It's very spiky, but it frames his face perfectly. His eyes, too. They're blue like ours, but darker as well. Like a deep blue. Inoichi shakily breathed out, so he is a blonde-haired and blue-eyed boy with the Uzumaki name. Yep. Ino clasped her hands together to plead. He promised me he would hang out with me again next weekend. Can I please go? Amiko looked at her husband, holding onto his trembling hand. Yes, honey. Of course. I'm happy you made a new friend. Look what he made me today. Ino pulled back the sleeve of her sweater and showed her new personal storage seal to her parents. Isn't it cool? It's our clan symbol. Amiko smiled as her husband was still in a daze. It's very nice. Did he draw it on you? Ino shook her head. No, Ka-chan, this isn't just a doodle. Here, let me show you. She formed a hand sign and molded her chakra before tapping the seal with her right palm. A puff of smoke appeared and shocked both her parents. Ino grinned at their surprise as she held an empty bottle of water in her hand, the same one Naruto used to feed her. See, this is a storage seal. Naruto-kun drew it for me. What do you mean, princess? Asked Inoichi. He made the seal himself. Yes, he did. Ino was gushing. Yesterday she showed me his own storage seal on his arm and I was amazed. He said that he'd make one for me, and he did today. Not only that, but he also changed how it looks. She rubbed over her seal. His seal looks like a whirlpool because of his clan, so he spent basically the entire night practicing how to make the seal look like a bush clover instead. Isn't he just so sweet? She hugged her arm close again. I can't wait to see him again. Amiko forced a small smile. What a talented boy. I know, right? Inoichi gently placed Ino on the couch and stood up. Sorry, princess. Tu-chan needs to go visit your uncle Shikaku for a bit. Ino tilted her head and shrugged. Sure, okay. Honey, started Amiko as she stood, too. Inoichi gently rubbed his wife's shoulder. I won't be out too late. It's okay, she sighed, figure this out. I need to know if. Inoichi nodded. I know. Me, too. Amiko sat back down and pulled Ino close, trying to pay attention as her daughter went on about her newest friend and obvious crush. She nodded along and smiled at times, but she couldn't help but want to follow her husband. She had to know if her friend's son was still alive. And if he was, why was he hidden away? Kushina. ANBU Commander Ryu was the longest-serving ANBU captain in history before he was promoted to the rank of commander. Some may consider it an impressive accolade, but the average lifespan of an ANBU member's career was short, whether it be from death or retirement. Not everyone could live in darkness, hunt in the unknown, and die in silence. The ANBU life was grim and ruthless, void of joy or emotion. They all lived in minutes, seconds, they had absolutely no prospects for the long term. After all, death was always knocking on their door. Ryu had comrades once, he had his own superiors and peers. He had looked up to the Sannin in his youth, idolized the White Fang of Konoha, and saw the Sandaime Hokage as the god of shinobi, as did most of his peers. But everyone in his generation was gone now. Some had retired into civilian life, some had joined the regular forces and became standard chunin or, if they didn't incur any lifelong injuries or mental blocks, jonin. The rest were killed in the Kyuubi attack, crushed under the mighty Biju's tails or burned to ash. Ryu had almost considered retiring himself after the Yondaime had died, and he would have if not for a lone ember that kept the barracks warm. Again. Hi, Commander. Chibi stood from the shallow pool, soaked from head to toe, and gathered his chakra again. His brows furrowed in concentration, his frown resembling a pout as he tried to stand on the water. For a second, he succeeded, managing to stand on the pool with minimal ripples forming at his feet, but he soon fell again. Keep trying until you can stand for 10 seconds. Hi, Commander.